Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The unified champion Anthony Joshua has emerged to issue a negotiating challenge to Deontay Wilder. Be realistic. Joshua is seeking to face Wilder on April the 13th at Wembley should the WBC champion get past Tyson Fury on December 1st. And Wilder has publicly stated Joshua, he can lock up a deal now if he wants to. Just give him 50-50 of the fight revenues, even though he says he believes he's worth 60-40 if he beats Tyson Fury. Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn says he'd be willing to give Wilder 50-50, but only if the event does 1 million buys in the United States, and he'd give him 40% if it got 500,000 buys. Wilder says if he doesn't get what he wants, no negotiations can begin before his fight with Tyson Fury. And this has left things in a bit of a state of flux as Hearn wants to advance negotiations before December, and he's already sent a percentage offer with a minimum guarantee. And through all of the recent chat, Anthony Joshua, he hasn't been weighing in publicly until now. So in an interview with Sky Sports in which he discusses the negotiations with Wilder and also the White and Chisora fight, Joshua says, "I am not out again until next year, April 13. You know we're ready, Wilder. Whatever, we are ready. Just be realistic on the negotiations because that's your issue, not mine. But this isn't about me, this is about Chisora White. I'm looking forward to that fight. I will be there. It's a blessing to take myself out of training and go watch these guys and go perform and see it from a different point of view. If I was a betting man, I want Chisora to win because he's my guy at Northwest London. I respect him. He's a Finchley ABC ambassador and he was a role model when I was coming through. And Dillian, I want him to win because I want to box him again. Come April 13, if Wilder doesn't step up, they are my two options. Good luck Chisora, good luck to White. They are both relevant wins for me." Anthony Joshua's statements to Sky Sports. So there is quite a bit to unpack there, and I want to start with the negotiating stuff first before getting to Joshua mentioning Chisora being in the running to face him should he beat Dillian White. And honestly, hearing that makes me want to vomit. Honestly. But anyway, first off, Joshua commenting on negotiations with Wilder. It's the first time that he's really waded in this second go-around. And the message is clear. Be reasonable or jog on. And given that they haven't signed up to 50-50, that means Joshua thinks Wilder is pricing himself out of the fight. But we do have these pay-per-view targets that Hearn has laid down, so I guess we do have a bit of an indication of where negotiations could go or will go if certain targets are met. But Deontay Wilder, he could very well say get 400,000 buys or 600,000 buys and still demand a 50-50 split. And in that sort of situation, that's where the rubber really hits the road in these negotiations. But at this point, given some of the recent rhetoric, it is looking unlikely that a deal can be reached easily, and potentially more importantly, in a time Joshua and his camp can live with. After all, Joshua has indicated he wants to go into a full training camp in January for this April fight. So January would appear to be the cutoff to name an opponent and to announce the fight. And Joshua also, with his comments, he directly challenged Wilder, putting it back on him, saying, be reasonable. That's your issue, not mine. Also saying if Wilder doesn't step up, he'll look to face the winner of White and Chisora. And that fight is on December the 22nd. So at the very least, there is going to be 3 clear weeks before that fight where they can potentially negotiate. Let's hope that they do make some progress, get around the table, because this whole dragged out saga, which has been going since April, it's boring now. And as an impatient fan, I would like to see the undisputed fight next. I would have rather have seen it already. And I don't want to have to wait another 12 months or even out into 2020. And if that happened, if it's 12 or 18 months' time, I'm sure many of us are going to feel like we've been played like a fiddle this whole time, and we've been played as marks. But getting back to a scenario where Wilder isn't in the picture for whatever reason, say negotiations break down or they don't even get around the table, whatever. the prospect of a White rematch, it is what it is. And having wins over Chisora, Helenius, Brown, Parker, and then Chisora a second time, it would mean that he's got a very good case for a title shot, regardless of who he was having a title shot against. There's not many other guys in the heavyweight division who can claim a similar level of wins in the last year or two like Dillian Whyte has. And there is some history with Joshua and Whyte, as we know. And Joshua clearly wants to fight Dillian Whyte again. He's spoken publicly that he thinks they'll end up fighting 3, 4, 5 times before their career is done. And a number of fans actually think that Dillian Whyte may stand a better chance the second time around with a healthy shoulder and having developed since that first fight. And that fight was back in 2015. But at the same time, obviously, Joshua, he's got a lot better since then as well. And he would be a firm favourite in that fight. And I think he would knock Dillian Whyte out again. But if Whyte was to beat Chisora and by KO look really, really good, that would actually help Whyte's cause and build some buzz for a Joshua and Whyte rematch. And obviously, if it's at Wembley, it's going to be a massive event, and the rivalry, it could potentially ensure that the stadium is a sellout, or at least go close to a sellout. But obviously, some of Whyte's performance against Chisora will help dictate, some of the popularity or his buzz heading into a bigger fight with Joshua. But in terms of the other alternative option of Derek Chisora, if he did manage to somehow upset Whyte, I really hope that they don't proceed with trying to force a fight between Joshua and Chisora on the fans. Not a fight that I want to see. I don't believe Joshua should even entertain it, and he wouldn't, in my view, get much credit for banging out a guy with 8 losses, a guy that many feel is past his best, a guy that many feel was past his best a couple of years ago and is shop worn. Sure, he had that win over Carlos Takam, but he lost to a prospect in Ajit Caballero in 2017. Didn't look great in that fight. Styles make fights, and obviously the Takam fight, he took a battering for a number of rounds, and then, when Takam was gassing, he knocked him out. And selling a Whyte and Chisora fight, that's a much easier sell because there's the history of the first fight. It was close, it was a real brawl. A lot of people like that fight. But I can't see a justifiable case for a Chisora-Joshua fight. I can't ever see a case for Chisora ever being mentioned in the conversation for a Joshua fight, no matter what Chisora, David Haye, or anyone else says. I'd much rather see them bring forward the Pulev mandatory or for Joshua to face Usyk. How about you? How would you feel about a Joshua fight with Chisora? Joshua believes it would be a relevant win. Can't say I agree with that, can't say I'm on board with that, one bit. If a Wilder fight can't be made, I'm okay with a Whyte rematch. Not Chisora though. Just my 2 cents, give me yours. Drop a comment loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out. If you want even more boxing content, come and join me on Patreon. Every week on a Sunday, I drop a new video on something topical or thought-provoking from the heavyweight division, ranging from rankings, the business of boxing, the false economy of deluded fanboys, the twists and turns in the division, to assessments of fighters and their statements. I hope to see you there, and for more information go to patreon.com/boxing squared. The address is on screen now.